Well, here's a question for you. Are you one who has a desire to go out and change the world and make a big difference? Probably be the pebble that you drop in the water that makes the waves, that changes someone else's life. Hello, everyone. I'm Sharon Frame, and welcome to Lead from Love, the book club conversation. It is the month of May, and of course, we've got a new book that we are journeying through, and it is the wonderful little book called The One Philosophy, the little message with a big impact. And we have a very special guest tonight that we'll be talking to and having that conversation, the Lead from Love conversation. We've got Ms. Yvonne Jones talking to us today from Florida, and she is, of course, a business coach and a marketing strategist. So hello, Yvonne, how are you tonight?
Hi, Sharon. I'm doing great, and it is such an honor to be here with you tonight. Lovely lady.
Ditto, you are lovely as well. And we just welcome all of our viewers and those who are chiming in to be a part of the conversation. Know this, that we will open up for conversation. And if indeed you have a question before the end of this chat, feel free to raise your hand and we will definitely bring you in as well. So again, May is the month that we're talking about the One Philosophy, written by none other than Nancy Matthews, who is an international speaker. She is a coach. She's also the co-founder of Women's Prosperity Network in Florida. She will be joining us later this month to talk about the essence of her book and what's behind it, what drove her to write this little book, because it's a little book, Yvonne. You've read it, so you know it is chock full of some good information, a lot of big stuff that you can change your life and the philosophy of how you think in terms of serving and showing up. So the bottom line for the book is, of course, that the one philosophy is being the one for someone else. You know, Yvonne, oftentimes when we're in business in particular, we're waiting for the phone to ring because we're waiting for the one client to sign up with us or the one deal to just close. But this book turns it on its head. What were your thoughts when you read this book?
Well, initially, when I read the first one, the first edition, it seemed to imply a lot that you were basically you're looking for your one. And so when Nancy revised it, because she recognized that this is the perception that a lot of people had, I just loved the perspective from which she came now, where it is that every time we go out, wherever we are, we should focus on seeing ourselves as the one for someone else. Mm-hmm. So now instead of looking for others to be the one for us, then we are the one for others. And that's how we should position ourselves.
And how does that shift the philosophy behind doing business?
I think it makes a huge shift. So instead of waiting for people to come to us, well, for as a business coach and a mentor, for me, it's finding out the needs of others. It's serving and coming from an attitude of service. Mm-hmm. And so it's finding out what the person's pain is, what it is they need help with, and offering or invite them to connect with me so that I can help them to relieve that pain. So rather than, like you just said at the opening, waiting for the phone to ring, then you're proactive and you're looking for opportunities to serve others.
So and I know that there are a lot of businesses out there who probably think just the opposite of this. And what has been for you the bottom line in terms of changing the way you think about business based on what you've read in the book? How has it changed your business strategy, or how has it enhanced what you do already?
I would say enhanced, because I came from the philosophy, and that is why I love this book and I love Nancy Matthews, because I came from the philosophy of serving, of being the one, kind of based on the principle that whatever you want others, Jesus gave about whatever you want others to do to you, you do to them. So you do to them first, and then not waiting for them to do for you, but you do for others. and you do it regardless of whether somebody says thank you or whether they show appreciation, but you do it out of love in your heart. So for me, from a business perspective, it has enhanced my business in the sense that I'm always looking for ways how I can support others. And sometimes it's not for the monetary gain, but just knowing that I can help someone. And sometimes you say, oh, people don't want help. But you know what? Sometimes they really want help, but they can't verbalize it. And
Yeah.
so when you can identify something that someone needs and you can offer that assistance without any expectations of a reward, so to speak. Of course, we're in business to make money, but I'm talking
Absolutely.
about coming from, we definitely want to make money, and I'm not a non-profit, but there are times when you can always do something for someone without expect, and your reward comes later. It
Yes,
doesn't always come immediately, but at
absolutely.
times it comes much later.
And if we broaden that perspective on the one philosophy, it's everyone that comes into your space or whoever you go and you meet, whether it be a client, whether it be a stranger on the street, whether it be a family member, whether it be a business colleague, showing up as the one, it really takes the self-centeredness out of the equation.
Mhm.
And business, to be perfectly honest, a lot of time is built on what can I get?
Mhm.
What's my result? How much can I add to my bottom line? And so even as a salesperson, and we're all salespeople, we think from perhaps the selfish angle, and generally speaking, it's tough, even though we think the one philosophy, to activate the one philosophy on a daily basis. How challenging that be for people who might not buy into this, and how would you sell this to someone you're coaching as a client who has a business?
Well, I'm thinking what comes to mind with selling this or helping someone to see the need to be more others focused is that yes, you want the rewards too, because there is satisfaction. But what can you do for others? What can you do for clients that they can appreciate you and want to work with you? Because coming from a place where you're not self-centered and it's not about the ego, it will attract people to you because they will recognize that you're others focused. And this is what Nancy puts us as at the forefront, being concerned about how you can support others. And you naturally draw people to you.
Mm-hmm.
And Sharon, there's a word that is bandied about a lot. But I finally years ago I saw someone who really exuded charisma. And charisma, one of the things that struck me was that with that person, when he was speaking to, he happened to be a politician
Uh-huh.
at the time, but I just stood back and watched him operate, and it was like, wow, now I finally understand what that word means. But he made every single person he talked to feel special because it was as if, regardless of how many people were in the room while he was speaking to each person, it was to them. So
Wow.
if we can show that we're truly interested in what others want, what they're saying, they will want to draw close to us, and
Absolutely.
and they'll want to work with us
Absolutely. And
because
what I
they will
find
see that we care.
that you care, and I find that fascinating on so many different levels. In addition to being in the business scenario, also just the stranger that you meet on the street, or
Mhm.
the person who might be anonymous in that restaurant, and all of a sudden you take notice of that person and you ask them how you can serve them. And they're accustomed to being served, right? To serving. And they're accustomed to having the foot traffic back and forth with no one really noticing who they are.
Mhm.
So in addition to, teaching our colleagues how we can serve them better and how they can be better service to others, it is delightful to me to see when someone stops and pays attention to a stranger, and you don't know this person, but somehow there is this lead from love attitude that they are a human being as well. They're just as equal to you. You might be a millionaire and they might not be. But because you take the time to be the one for them, just with a word, just with a smile, just with a compliment, it really makes the I say tilting the planet towards kindness. It really makes the love world go around. And it also makes you feel so much better about you, because in giving, we get so much back in return. And I always am so glad to be able to be around people who are not thinking solely of what can I get, but what can I give. And you know, we started out this year reviewing and journeying through Bob Berg's book, The Go-Giver. So you walk out in life to see how much can you give? What can you give, as opposed to being the go-getter? Now, there are a couple of chapters I want to delve into. Now, you might not remember your most favorite chapter in the book, but I thought this one was very telling, and perhaps we can park a little conversation here. It says, talk less and listen more. And oftentimes in life, what people need is just a listening ear. Speak to that, if you will.
It's something I would say that has to be learned. It has to be, it's not a skill that comes to everyone easily. There are people who are great listeners. For me personally, I've had to work at it, because I tended to be one of those persons. You're telling me a story, and I want to make sure I get it right. So I'm interrupting you. Okay, so you mean you went so and so? Sometimes all people need, as you just said, for you to be quiet. Just listen to them. They don't always need you to provide solutions. And that is one of the things that separate men from women. A lot of times men, especially husbands, think that when their wives are telling them something, they want a solution, when all the wives want is a listening ear.
Yes.
So sometimes for a lot of our clients, they're not expecting us to give them the solutions, but they want to know that someone else has heard, someone else understands. They want to be understood. And a lot of times we have to take ourselves out of it. Don't be so concerned about what we can contribute to the conversation. Be concerned about hearing the person and acknowledging them and letting them know that we truly hear them and we empathize.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. Because a lot of times, you know, people are just wanting to be valued. They want to know that someone is listening. They want to know that others care, whether it be at their home environment or whether it be at the office. Simply, human beings simply have a drive for significance. And if we can be the one for that person, whether, again, just being a smile, it makes a big difference to so many. So what does it look like on a typical scenario where you want to be the one, or you put yourself in a situation to connect to the one? There are times when people won't tell others what they need, and that jeopardizes or limits their opportunity to be served. I can give you an example of being in a crowded room where there are conversations, and someone might say, so what is it you want? Sometimes we're afraid to stand up and say, this is what I want, because the one might be in the room for you. But because we don't verbalize it, we miss the moments. So could you talk a little bit about that and how we can realize that, yes, you want to be the one, but you also want to make sure you allow other people to be the one for you by at least verbalizing what your needs are, what your desires are, because we're all here to connect with each other.
I actually have been discovering a few.
What I would say to that, Sharon, is that it's not always easy to verbalize what you want. Would you agree?
Amen, 100%.
Because sometimes someone will ask you, okay, so what is it you really want? And it's like, what do I really want? And it's afterwards you think about it, oh my goodness, why didn't I say this? Why didn't I say that?
Yes.
So sometimes it takes a little digging. But you said something a moment ago that is so very important, and that is to allow other people to be the one for us.
Yes.
A lot of times we are so, I don't know if the word strong is the right word. That's not necessarily what I mean, but we seem to have this feeling that we have to be the one for everybody else.
Yes.
But,
That can be
you know,
exhausting.
it can be exhausting. And I kind of learned a lesson some time ago where I was giving somebody, or someone was giving me something, and I was like, no, 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 that's all right. And she said to me, she said, Yvonne, you like to be a giver. You need to allow other people to feel honored that they have an opportunity to give you.
Yes.
And I just said, wow, I never thought of it that way. I was more thinking that, oh no, I don't want you to bother. But the point is that we also have to allow other people to be the one for us.
Absolutely. We deprive
And
them of the privilege,
that's right.
yes, of being the one. And there are so many different scenarios I can talk about. There are folks, and especially, in a case where you feel like, I got this,
Mm-hmm.
because you want to show up perhaps that up in society or in life that I've got it together. People need to see me that everything is just immaculate. But being the one for someone else, or allowing someone else to be the one for you, there is a certain level of vulnerability, I believe. And I have a friend of mine who would rather sit in her space and suffer than tell me that she's in need. And I'll learn later. And I said, well, why didn't you just call me? Oh, no, I got it. I got it. So you're suffering over there when so many people around us can be the one, whether it be a neighbor or, a friend. We're all connected that way. And when we don't at least verbalize our needs, we cannot allow that other person to be the one.
That's true.
Don't you see that being a problem sometimes for so many people?
Yes,
Yeah,
it can be a big
yeah.
problem. But
So,
Nancy, in her book, she talks about the case where there was a group. I can't remember the exact word for word now, but then this person came and said they wanted to be, where they had this hope to be, like work with this particular team, sports team. And it so
yeah,
happens that the babysitter for the coach or somebody for that team was there.
right in the room.
How awesome is that? How many, when you think about it in the long range, how many opportunities like that could we possibly miss
Yes,
because we don't share with others what we really need?
absolutely, absolutely. So there's an element of fear. That there's an element of pride. These are certain things that we have to deal with, because if we want to strongly be the one and allow others to be the one for us, we've got to probably do some self-analysis. How are we showing up in the world? Are we so full of pride that we don't even want to acknowledge that we need help? And that's an issue, that some people need to deal with. I know because I wear so many different hats, and sometimes I have to check myself. Am I missing opportunities for allowing someone to be the one in my life? Allowing someone to give me advice, or allowing someone to help me carry the load, because I've been carrying it for so long. And probably women, I don't know if this is true, because we're out there in the workforce and we're trying to prove ourselves that we can sit at the table with men, and then we feel like we've got to do it all. We've got to impress people, and in the process miss the moment to allow others to be the one. So it's a two-way street. Nancy talks about something else in the book. She said, own your life by taking 100% responsibility. And then there is that the ripple effect of that. When you own your life and you take full responsibility, yes, that's important. And then the ripple can cause you to change the way you think. Because when we change the way we think and we take and acknowledge ownership of what we're doing in life, we are from a stronger space there. And so when we are from a stronger space, it's a lot easier for us now to see other people in need as opposed to being so absorbed in our issues and our little petty internal confusion that we go through. Once we own our space and be confident in ourselves and don't feel as though we are in competition with other people, that could be a thorny thing, you know, that could cause us to not see other people and what they need because we're so wrapped up in, I've got to compete with Yvonne. You know, I've got to make sure that I best someone else. We therefore cannot be the one. We're not showing up with full authenticity because we're in that space of lack. Could you speak to that?
But what I would say that very quickly on that is that my philosophy, there is enough to go around.
Absolutely.
So, and people, you and I can do the exact same thing. Our target market can be the same. Everything can be the same. We serve people in a similar way, but we are bringing our own individual personalities. The two of us are two different people. And also, there are always going to be people who will resonate with you more than they resonate with me, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. Somebody may not like my Jamaican accent, for example, but they love hearing you. But the point is that there is no need for competition because there is enough to go around, and that's my philosophy. I have no problem with sharing valuable information with people who should be considered my competitors because we bring our own personality, we bring ourselves to the table, and so there's no need to compete.
That is such a good point. And I know we have about 6 or 7 minutes in the conversation. We've reserved about 30 minutes to talk about this. And I encourage you, if you have not gotten the book, The One Philosophies yet, be sure to go to theonephilosophy.com and download or get your copy because we'll be thoroughly walking through this. There's another quote from the book, and Nancy says, the ones are everywhere. There is, and to your point about there is enough, the pie is big enough, really, you know, opportunities are all around us. What limits us is the selfishness and this feeling that we're going to miss out and someone's going to take our slice of the pie. But I love the way she says that, quote, the ones are everywhere. We are all meant to be the ones for each other. So to me, that speaks again to what you were saying. Everywhere you go, there's an opportunity to be the one for someone else. And the more we plant those seeds of kindness and we lead from love, what we're doing is we are just fertilizing our garden, and someone will show up to till our garden and help us grow and harvest. It's just the law of reciprocity. It's a beautiful little message in a wonderful little book on showing up every day, concerned about the other person, not be so self-obsessed with ourselves, concerned with other people, and in so doing, we ripple this wonderful vibration that others will be concerned about us. Isn't that so beautiful?
That is beautiful. And when you think about it, Sharon, if you decide, when you get dressed and walk out of your door and you just say, I'm going to be the one for someone today, whether it's the doorman, if you have a place where there's a doorman, or it's the person at a fast food chain that you just smile and say thank you to. Maybe you're the only person that day who smiled and said thank you. And maybe you're the only person who looked the person right in the eye.
Yes.
It's just the simple things. It doesn't have to be gigantic things. It can be simple things that make a world of difference. And sometimes we can touch the lives of people that we have no idea that we did it.
Absolutely. And let me give you a quick example as we wrap up, because I want to honor your time. We've got about 4 minutes. I remember being a local television reporter, and you know, you get your fan mails, and people never realize just how crucial and critical that can be. As we're interrupted by the dog, he wants to chime in. He says, I want to be the one. That's what he's saying. For you. Anyway, or for the squirrel that he's running after. I don't know. But I just remember there are times when I would feel down, and, you know, people think you're always just wonderful and up. And someone will send me a note that just turned my life upside down, made me smile as opposed to, go home depressed because I did something wrong at the office. So those little things that bring so much more value and meaning to people's lives, it's just tremendous. So I urge you, as we say good night and close out for today, that you find ways to be the one for someone. And while you're there percolating that operation to be the one for your neighbor, or be the one for that person that you carpool with, be the one for your coworker, be the one for your boss, be the one for your client, trust me, the same thing is happening elsewhere. Someone else is working on a plan, a master plan to be the one for you. And it's so crucial. Yvonne, thank you for being the one for me tonight and just delighting my life with this conversation. How can people get more information about what you're up to, and how can we be the one for you?
Thank you, Sharon, for the opportunity. I'm so glad you invited me to be here and to talk about that little book that is I call it a little bombshell, because it can make a difference in people's lives if they really read it and absorb it. My website is my name, Yvonne. It spells Y, B as in Victor, O-N-N-E-A, that's my middle initial, and Jones, JONES.com. And I have a mentoring program that's starting on the 1st of June. So it's YvonneJones.com Platinum, Platinum, that your listeners can visit and learn more. And I'm happy to share that information. And I would love to hear how your listeners responded to this tonight.
Excellent. So we'll be posting this on Facebook, so more people will be watching. And if you want to get more information, please make sure you connect with Yvonne on how she's being the one for so many people. And in turn, others are being the one for her. The One Philosophy by Nancy Matthews. Again, go to theonephilosophy.com to get your copy. We'll be journeying through the book throughout the month of May, and journeying with Nancy at certain point later on this month, that we hope that you'll be a part of the conversation. Thanks so much, Yvonne. So appreciate you. Thanks for being the one.
Okay. And you're my one tonight as well. Have a good night.
Okay, good night now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.